and I'll stand on it. Nothing has changed my opinion to alter the fact that Paul Pierce is the greatest pure scorer in Celtic history.
I recall writing that for the first time after a playoff game in Indianapolis, in which Paul Pierce scored, I think, 40. A lot of them came from free throws, maybe as many as 18 or 20. And he earned those free throws in a way that also struck me. He accumulated old-fashioned tricks, and in addition to which, he's a three-point shooter, he's an excellent mid-range shooter, can score with somebody in his face, excellent finisher on the break. As good a finisher on the break as the Celtics have ever had, and pure driver in the half court to the basket. What's left? Oh, by the way, 83, 84, he can make his free throws. There's nothing left.
The best in history? And ordained by the great sage of Boston basketball? The Boston Celtics are, after all, the NBA's winningest franchise. The ordeal and journey of a kid from Inglewood who'd become one of the all-time greats for an all-time organization carved himself out a far different path than that of his fellow champions who donned the fabled green jersey. This is that story, the story of Paul Pierce, the best pure scorer in Celtics history.
Well, the 98 draft was sort of the Dirk Nowitzki draft. We were all in on Dirk and had been for quite some time. But obviously, sitting at the 10th spot, we didn't control our own destiny. Paul Pierce was a guy that we'd always felt throughout the entire season of his junior year at Kansas that he was a cinch to be a top 3 pick. He wouldn't even come in work out for us. I reached over to Coach Pitino and said, Paul Pierce hasn't been selected yet. What's going on? This is unbelievable. And he asked me what would probably happen, and I said, I think Philadelphia will take him. I believe they had the 8th pick.
But they didn't. The Sixers made a decision they still rue to this day and selected Larry Hughes. Next up was Robert Tractor Traylor, selected as part of a prearranged trade deal, rekindling some of that old leprechaun luck that had eluded the organization for so long.
So I leaned over to Coach Pitino and said, they're not going to come up with a 9A and a 9B selection. There's only one team in front of us now at 9. They can't take both Nowitzki and Pierce. We're getting one of these guys.
I can assure you that no one was more interested in Dirk Nowitzki than Rick Pitino. But he was taken, and there was Paul Pierce sitting there. A dream scenario.
In fact, once Nowitzki was selected at 9 and we're on the clock, we got an offer for 3 first-round picks.
They never met him, they have no interview, they have no workout, no advanced scouting, no medical, nothing.
So often at drafts, we make fun of it. We all do. Oh, we never thought he'd be available. This was the one time I can guarantee it was true. I don't think anyone thought he would be available at number 10.
The Boston Celtics select Paul Pierce.
And we knew Paul was going to be a big-timer, a can't-miss guy. If we didn't know at the beginning of practice that year coming out of the lockout, we certainly knew by the second game of the season.
In Pierce's rookie year, Boston entered the season with raised expectations. Rick Pitino seemingly had a young, energetic, and with the addition of Pierce, a far more talented group. After losing their home opener, the Celts found themselves in an early season must-win against Cleveland due to a lockout-shortened season. And it was Pierce, in just his second career game, who'd carry the Green to a needed victory, and foreshadowing much of what was to come.
I remember just saying at that game, I mean, it's over with. He's going to make it. He's going to make it big. He's better than anybody we have right now.
The situation in which Pierce came in was so interesting because the team's going like this, but he's going like this almost instantly. And at a time when the league was obsessed with finding the next Jordan, it was always Kobe, it was always even Allen Iverson, it was always Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady when he breaks out in Orlando, even Ray Allen. Pierce was excluded from those conversations, and just as he took the draft as a slight, he took being excluded from said conversations as a slight.
While a young Pierce was making his stamp on the league, the Celtics were not. Rick Pitino came to town with plenty of fanfare, but a series of bad personnel moves and on-court stagnation built the frustration level to a fever pitch.
Larry Bird's not walking through that door, fans. Kevin McHale's not walking through that door, and Robert Parrish is not walking through that door.
Pierce was seemingly its lone bright spot. But on the night of September 25, 2000, just days before the start of training camp, Paul Pierce found himself fighting for his life.
It was a life life-altering, a life-fearful moment. I mean, he was millimeters away from being killed.
Pierce's friend and teammate, Tony Battie, helped get Pierce to nearby Boston Medical Center, in which an emergency surgery and quite possibly a leather jacket saved his life, and with it, a promising young basketball career.